Right, let's get into the questions. Tiffy Ferrero, he's first, says, why is Joel Matip not included in Cameroon's team for their AFCON qualifier next month? I think he's retired from international football. I don't really know what else to say to that. I can't say I know that for certain, but I can only assume he's retired from international football. What an absolute bombshell of a way to start the stream. Rima Rodri says, why Liverpool are not accepting a £118 million bid for Mo Salah from Al Ittihad? That's a lot of money in my opinion. It's a lot of money. Yes, it is a lot of money, but it's relative, right? To Liverpool. So Tottenham are probably going to get a fee for Kane that's going to reach that sort of volume with add-ons. And Salah's got, 2 years left on his contract. So they're certainly within their rights to ask for more money. No, the Saudis aren't short. I think should Salah go this time next year, there's every reason to expect it might not be quite that high. But I think they could still, from them, expect to receive three-figure sum. The only reason it doesn't happen, I think, probably next year is if obviously for whatever reason, maybe there's restrictions in place where the Saudis can't spend so much money. But I don't particularly foresee that happening. So there's no pressure on Liverpool. I think that I did a little piece for advanced tier patrons yesterday and said that I thought it was something Liverpool should consider. Purely because I think they're kind of in a rebuild operation anyway. And a little bit like what I'd said with Kane, where rather than stay with Postecoglou for a year, the best thing for Tottenham might be to just cut ties now. It doesn't feel quite that way with Liverpool. But I could see some sort of sense in it. If they're saying right now, okay, we're probably not going to challenge for the title this year. What do you want to do? Build towards it with Salah and then kind of start again next year? Tough. But then you've got a year now to contingency plan for replacing him. And I'm sure Liverpool have already been thinking about it, to be honest. So it's up to Liverpool, right? And it's up to Salah, of course. So we don't know for certain whether he'd like to go or like to stay. But it would be a hell of a task to obviously replace his goals and assists. But Liverpool have been down this road before. You know, they sold Coutinho. It was like, oh, how would they replace Coutinho? And they spent the money basically on Alisson and Van Dijk, right? And that was a game changer for them. Maybe Salah goes and they go and get a serious holding midfield player for a lot of money and perhaps a cover at centre-back or something and a replacement for Salah with the money. I don't know. So I don't think it will happen. That's what I've said. I'd be very, very surprised. I don't think Liverpool... I think if this had come about in July, there'd be way more chance of it happening. Now, so close to the end of the window. At least Tottenham got it dealt with Kane. I know it was just before the season, but at least it was before the season started. I don't see it happening. I'd be very surprised. I feel like he'll probably go out there next year. But Liverpool will still command a massive fee this time next year. David Rice says, is Matt Turner at risk of losing his place with Nottingham Forest signing Vlaki Domos on deadline day? Well, it's not deadline day and I don't know if it's happened yet. But we did know that Nottingham Forest were intending to buy 2 goalkeepers. So, look, I don't think Matt Turner swapped being number 2 at Arsenal for number 2 at Nottingham Forest. So, no, I imagine he would still be the number 1. Lombardetto says, why is Aaron Hickey not allowed to bomb forward in attacking positions in Brentford's matches? Instead, it is Henry going more forward. Is that correct? Look, I must profess, the only Brentford game I've actually watched so far was the opening weekend game against Tottenham. And obviously played a back 5 at that day. From memory, though, looking at the last 2 games, and apologies, I might have this wrong, but I don't feel like average position of Henry's been any higher than Hickey in the 2 games since. So I think with Hickey, so athletic in terms of... Henry, so athletic in terms of how he bombs forward. It might have that appearance, perhaps. I've been of the opinion for a while, and those who watch my deadline stream will certainly know at the weekend, I'd said if you were going to buy a Brentford defender, I'd probably just go with Pinnock, to be honest. Because they contribute, and the fullbacks at Brentford don't overly. So if you've gone Hickey and you're worried about it, like, I wouldn't sweat that. So... again, I've not watched the 2 games, but I don't think there's a lot in it particularly. Hopefully, by the way, there are rumours that Rico Henry is going to be in the England squad, and it would be fully deserved and warranted. I'm hoping he'll be in it. Nisha Hortop says, Everton get relegated finally if they lose to Sheffield United on Saturday. Yeah, it's over, mate. There's no 34 games left to play or anything like that. No, not at all. I did say on a piece I did with Surge, which I think was on Patreon earlier this week, that I thought the game was more important to Sheffield United. It might have even been Tuesday's pod, to be honest. I think the game's more important to Sheffield United because the fixtures have got afterwards. In the sense, I think Sheffield United more probably can't lose it. Everton still have a few games, sort of game week 7 and 8. There's a couple of good home games against Luton and Bournemouth where they'll expect to get something. Whereas for Sheffield United, it looks quite grim after this week, I think. So I think it's a slightly more important game for Sheffield United in terms of must not lose. However, no one's down at this stage of the season. Honestly, no one at all. Remember the Fulham team that came up a few years ago in the COVID season? Everyone was after 2-3 games, like they got battered at home by Villa and stuff. Everyone was like, they're down, they're finished. They finished. And actually by February, March, they had a couple of decent wins. Like they'd won at Liverpool. They were looking quite solid defensively. It's way too early to be writing anybody off when there's probably a cluster of 5, maybe 6 teams who I think are going to struggle in the league this year. Swizil says, why is it taking so long for Barcelona to sign Jean Cancelo, even on loan? God, they are so poor. Would they need to pull more levers to make it happen? Don't they sell some more TV rights or something? You'd have to ask Barcelona that question. They'll know what's going on with their own business, maybe, more than I do. SUFC says, hi James, are you surprised with Man City allowing Palmer to leave? Also, how do you see Nunes fitting in at City? I was surprised at the Palmer deal. Yeah, I mean, it's caught most of us by surprise. But it's a lot of money for a player who, let's be honest, is unproven at Premier League level. It fits in with a profile player that Chelsea have been buying. And it also fits in with Manchester City in terms of selling a young product for pretty big money. It hasn't always worked out. Like, look at the sale of Romeo Lavia this time last year, right? Nunes is a strange one. I looked at him quite a bit before he joined Wolves. And he made his debut at Tottenham in game week 3 last year. And so I did quite a bit of looking at him the week before. And I could certainly see where the Bruno Fernandes comparisons were in place. I could see that. There was obviously the Sporting Lisbon and the nationality links as well. But positionally, I thought, yeah, I can see a little bit in there, actually. We never saw that for Wolves. We never saw that. We never saw anything at Wolves last year that would have warranted Manchester City paying this volume of money. However, I've seen quotes from Pep Guardiola on video, on a camera in the past, saying he thinks Nunes is one of the best midfielders around, right? So he's obviously a player who's been very interested in for a while. He was getting linked with Liverpool a couple of months ago as well. So people have maintained an interest in him. I think he's disappointed at Wolves. I don't think it's a massive loss for Wolves. They've got their money back, essentially, that they may be able to spread some of those funds over the next 36 hours or so. How do I see him fitting in? Not straight away. Not straight away. And again, it's the old adage with new signings at City, like, expect more in year 2. So I don't think he goes straight in as first choice. I think he can play potentially the 10 position. He could definitely play a deeper role alongside Rodri as well. But to be honest, probably not first choice in the immediate. Callum Odumbelli says, Ivan Perisic played at left wing for Tottenham in the Cup. I know, I was there. Says, is that the audition Angie's looking and potentially moving Sun to striker, remove Richarlison to the bench? Not based on what was seen on Tuesday night, mate. No, he won't be doing that. So, look, good assist from Perisic for the goal. Otherwise, underwhelmed like most of the Tottenham players who started on Tuesday night, to be totally honest. That included Richarlison again, despite scoring. So, no, I think the intention, as I said several times over, will be to try and give Richarlison a significant run of games in the position through the middle. So, if you're asking that from a fantasy perspective, hoping Perisic is going to go in the team, that's not on at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets to that point, and I've said previously, like, if he gets in the team and it looks like he's going to stay in the team, just get him in, because it will be winger or it won't be wing back. But, no, I'd be very surprised if Perisic started at Burnley tomorrow.